What happened? What happened?
What happened? We're having a bad stretch. We are out.
Juventus is -6 from the top.
We're out.
But until last week, when I said that Juventus still's got a chance, you went crazy. You said, nah, not even Milan's got a chance.
Give me that piece of paper over there.
The Messinas are tag teaming.
And they were
again.
the same amount of
I'm
points.
just wondering. That's it. Just
Come on.
Okay, all right. You want me to say what's going on?
Yeah.
All right.
Do they still have a chance?
First of all,
Do they still have a chance?
yes.
Chance
Not for
for
champions.
what?
Not for champions.
Not for Germany, but that's
For
what we're
Serie A
talking
Conference
about.
League.
No,
For
to
Serie
stay in
A.
Serie A. To stay in Serie A.
We were
Stay
talking
in
about
Serie A.
Champions
All right.
League.
Let me tell you
Anto,
something.
what the hell happened to Milan? How did we used to sit here in November and say how bad Roma are, and now Roma are ahead of Milan in the table? Milan are in 9th place.
Wow.
Even with the bad season, you shouldn't be in 9th place.
This is not a bad season.
How do we explain
This is not a disaster season. You know what? We need an exorcist.
You know one?
I might know somebody. And now,
But he's Interista.
since I'm gonna go to Milan, I'm gonna bring some holy water, and I'm gonna just go all over San Siro and just and put it on the Curva Sud over there, where all the AC Milan fans are, because they deserve better. They deserve better.
I really thought that this week I was very wrong about the Milan game. I was extremely wrong. I said, Milan's last couple of weeks, what have they been? Out in the Champions League against Feyenoord, lose to Torino, lose to Bologna. I already thought the nail was in the coffin for Champions League, but I said, you know what? Today against Lazio, who's missing Tati Castellanos, who historically hadn't won in the San Siro against Milan since 2019, I said, this is the day for Milan to show up. And from the first minute, it was Lazio who had a fire in their eyes, who played with this intensity that deserved to be up even more than just one goal. And then the game obviously gets crazy, and we could talk about that. But how does Milan start the game in that way at San Siro, and then you don't even get the second half reaction like sometimes Conceicao used to have? How do you explain that part?
Okay, first of all, I have to thank the Lord that I was invited at the Inter party. I was in New Jersey at the Venetian with your dad and the rest of the Inter
So you didn't
crew.
watch the game?
I didn't watch the game.
Wait, so you were around a bunch of Inter fans?
Actually, that's people that were giving me update. Hey, by the way, Anto, I see
No.
Milan at 0, Lazio 1. And then I checked on my phone. Oh, shit, that's true. Zip my mouth. Then listen to this.
You spend the
Don't
rest of the
say
night in the
anything.
bathroom, right?
Then 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I guess, before, I see Milan got a red card. Okay, all right, just pile up. Then it's, I see Milan tied, by the way. And this is where a bunch of kids that I was having fun at the cocktail party. Then I was at the ballet park, parking to get my car back, and the guys, wow, jumping up and down. He said, AC Milan, AC Milan. I said, what about AC Milan? He says, they just, Lazio scored on a penalty on the last minute. What's that, 98 minutes, I was told.
By who?
You say Pedro?
Yeah, Pedro.
Okay, so I just didn't watch any highlights. I didn't watch anything. I'm still on a twilight zone.
Did you just avoid it?
I did.
It's that bad.
Normally, I wanted to go watch the game. If I don't watch it, yesterday I came back home. I don't want to watch the game. Actually, when I saw the picture, I was horrified by the color of the uniform that they used. They look like a Portuguese team.
You guys are.
I said, "What the hell is going on with this
Yeah, that
uniform?"
was really bad.
Is that the first time that they use it? I never seen a uniform like
They
that.
have a away version of that, but yeah.
But we played in San Siro.
That's really bad.
Oh Lord!
That was
but,
not the only thing that was
Their
bad.
performance was worse. I
The
think,
biggest
right?
ovation yesterday at the Inter Club was in the 98th minute. They all started applauding,
way.
jumping up and down. Yeah.
Wow.
It goes, Lazio scored.
They still
and
care?
those are the very same people.
They still care?
Oh, yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Especially when it's against AC Milan.
Oh,
sure. But
including you.
There were 500
Invitated.
at
Guests,
this
500
dinner
guests.
at this dinner dance. Aldo does a great job.
Yeah, he does.
And
What's the name of the Inter club?
it's Facchetti, Giacinto Facchetti. And the word around all these Inter fans, and I was sitting in a table with a few legends. The word around.
What do you mean, a few legends? Say it. What are the legends?
The Inter club. Well, Materazzi was there.
Giuseppe Rossi was there.
Altobelli was there.
Giuseppe Rossi was there.
But around the room, they said, what's the best player that AC Milan ever bought? He goes, Ibra.
Oh my
He goes, thank you, God. He goes, please, don't sell Ibra. He goes, anything you guys do, don't sell Ibra. He goes, that's the best player, and I hope that he stays there because he's making all the wrong decisions. That's what the word around. I don't know if you heard it. Maybe
what did you say?
Maybe you were not listening.
And what did you say?
It's not my place to say anything.
Yeah, but look at the
He
way
doesn't
you
wanna get
said
beat
it.
up.
That
Yeah.
means that you agreed because
This
the
is
way you
be-
said it.
This is between
the way you said it.
But I've been saying this for a long time.
I
that
think Ibra is gonna prove you guys wrong.
But I
He's
said
gonna
it for a
prove you
long
guys
time that
wrong.
Ibra doesn't belong there. And you know what the word was? You let go the best player that you had there,
Maldini.
which was Maldini.
Ibra didn't let Maldini go. It was the management. Ibra didn't tell Maldini to go. It was Maldini that brought
Ibra had
Ibra
nothing
into
to do
AC
with
Milan.
Maldini. I'm talking about the management.
Ah, the management.
Okay, so that was the word around.
I want we're going to give Lazio their credit, but I think we should finish off with Milan because obviously some are emotionally attached to this. There's so many different conversations that we could have. I mean, we could talk about the management. We could talk about the players. We could talk about the coach. Do you think you should keep Conceicao at this point and finish off the last 11 games?
Yes.
There's no point in sacking him.
No.
But things have gotten worse with Conceicao. We all agree. It was better
Conceição-
under Fonseca.
I don't know.
Does everyone agree?
No, I don't
don't
like
know.
to compare.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't know. I think they're both terrible.
At least they had a style of play under Fonseca for me.
So I didn't watch the game because we were at this. But what I heard some of the comments that they were saying is that in the second half, Milan tried and the players tried.
Towards the end,
Yeah.
they woke up.
They say even if they were playing with 10,
When they went to 10 men,
Yeah.
they actually started playing better.
right, that's what the comments were. You know, it goes so Conceicao actually, you know, the players were really playing and they tried, but you know, this is what happened. And they were saying, you know, what happened to this Milan? Because AC Milan, because when you buy players, it's like building a house. You need engineers, you need architects, but you need bricklayers too, and you need the guy that carries the water. It goes AC Milan, they all both engineers, you know, so that's what they.
Yeah, but they're not great engineers.
Honestly,
So there's
for free
nobody
transfers.
carrying the water. There's
coming
no
off free
bricklayers. There's
loan.
nobody
You know,
working.
it's actually
You
it's
got
actually
bricklayers.
That's
too
what.
a little too many bricklayers, I would say. I think there's a lot of. It's very valid what you're saying, and there's times with Conceicao too that I think frustrate a lot of fans is when you see Joao Felix starting in certain games. Right, not in this match. He does come in. And then you say to yourself, has he really earned this position? Why is he playing? Why is he starting in this? And it almost hurts Reinders because then Reinders, your best player, is not able to go up. So there's so many different issues at this, but from the base level, not even just the tactics. Because Conceicao only talks about the intensity and the spirit and the energy. And I don't think that this is Conceicao's fault necessarily. I think when you have a bad season, there's so many different problems at this club. I feel bad for him in a sense, but I still don't see the things that you should see at a club like AC Milan that he's bringing out in them.
You know what they call Joao Felix? Zucchero filato, which means cotton candy. It's something
Soft.
very light. You know, he does not have that, you know, that strength to be there and to play. That's what they call them. And Conceicao, they call them Concecaos. Chaos.
Oh, wow. You know what?
Peter?
You know what? At
Mike?
the end of the day, no, wait. Since we are in the same team, this is what we need. We needed to feed off all of this negativity that you guys are spilling over for us to gain our momentum back. So
The season's
You
almost
have a lot to
over.
eat.
Doesn't
Don't wait too
matter.
long.
You got a lot to eat.
We still have the
Don't
Coppa
worry.
Italia. We have a couple more games with those fucking idiots of Inter. So we are. You know, don't cut this.
No, we got to
please.
mute that the
No,
word.
don't mute
The
it.
F,
Don't
the F.
mute
How do
it.
we have
The curse.
kids?
The curse.
We got
We got
kids.
kids listening.
Why do you have them muted? It's not that bad, actually.
Tell
It
them the
actually applies to them.
7-year-olds.
Listen, we need this because this is what is going to give us that.
Anto, it's been like this for the whole year.
This is
not
what is
now
going to
that-
give us
people are
our
talking about
momentum
it.
back and hopefully.
When? In the summer for the
We're gonna
ICC
remember to
tournament?
To get to
Yeah.
what? Champions League is done.
Yeah, we're done with the Champions League.
Champions League is
Maybe
done.
for
We're still talking about Liberale against Real Madrid. How good of a game we had.
Mike, anything different than what we said?
I'm
Any
gonna
other
say what I said
takeaways?
last week. Every game I see Milan play, I give more and more credit to Pioli. This season's been a disaster. I don't think there's anything that's gonna salvage it. They're not gonna make Champions League. It's just damage control at this point. That's all I can say. Lazio played
Well said.
better.
The Pioli-
Lazio played better. I don't think they deserve for it to end 1-1. If you guys see the game, Lazio fully deserved that match.
We'll get to Lazio, but Mike makes. I mean, it's more and more evident that Pioli worked on a forget about the tactics, psychological level to get the most out of these players. You just said you need bricklayers. I always go back to the conversation that Pioli has where he says there was not one day I didn't have to motivate Theo Hernandez to play. Already, that means there was personality problem. That means that the team was not healthy, right? And they got it wrong in the summer. They tried to fix it in January. I don't think necessarily that it's because of what they did in January. I think it was always going to be hard to be able to steady a ship midway through. Do you think you have a lot of experience in the director's role, understanding the directors? The big talk is now that they're going to go between Terrace and Paratici for Direttore Sportivo. Do you have any thoughts on that? And I think lately it's leaning more towards Terrace. Do you think he's what Milan needs? Is that the bit of hope?
I think with Terrace, it's all going to be depending on what his actual role is. Because if Terrace is a strong personality, and I think if he's going to be in the sporting director role for Milan, he's going to want the keys to the car, right? And if he's going to have to take orders from someone else or from an algorithm that's going to find players, he's not going to accept that. Ultimately, obviously he's going to realize it's AC Milan. He's going to have to come to a decision if he does go on and go to AC Milan. But he's the type of guy that he wants to work in his ways. And I think if I were AC Milan, Cardinale and company, if you're going to trust your sporting director, you have to give him the carte blanche, not necessarily in money, but in his ability to go after the players that he wants and in building a structure. What he did with Lazio is incredible. The amount of players that he was able to get in plus Valenza, right? And buying low and selling high, getting the Champions League year in, year out. And, let's not forget Inzaghi's run that, maybe if there was not this pause in the Campionato, they probably could have went on to win the Scudetto. And that would have been a miraculous season.
If you were deciding, if you were Zlatan and Cardinale, and you had to choose between those two, would you go with Terrace over Paratici?
I would, yes. I think Paratici also, he had a different role with Juventus where he had a lot of sidekicks or people that were there. So he was able to work around.
And when he took the reign.
And when he took it,
look what happened.
It didn't do so great.
Nothing with Paratici.
I think that's the better option. But again, it's all going to be dependent on what's Ibra's role. That's what I really want to say. It's like, is Ibra going to make the decisions? At that point, whether you put Terrace or you put Marotta, it's not going to work.
So he's going to work, I guess, with Moncada, right? Because in my opinion, Moncada is the one who's
Moncada might leave after this
players.
Year. I think after this year, you have to consider letting some people go. Because it's not just about changing the coach. You had your whole strategy, wrong. And we can say, it was this summer and this winter. No, but even the year prior, it wasn't all roses and
What are you talking
daisies.
about? The year prior, we were second. What are you talking about?
You were second. How many
Yes.
points different?
Not that many. But we were not at 8 or 9 or 10.
I think also if you look at the summer strategy, one of the big things you said is they didn't want to get, Ibra made it clear, they didn't want to get a manager. They wanted a coach. That's what he famously said, right? For me, and I think for a lot of us, we always said, if you can't find an improvement on Pioli, then maybe it's better to keep this. And don't get a manager that maybe you could. I'm not going to say that they did this. I don't know. But from the outside, it feels like that they could control. They could have a little bit more say on them. And unfortunately, these are the results. But either way, with all these problems, for me, when you look at Milan's roster, there's no way in hell that you could finish in 9th place. I don't care about the problems upstairs. I don't care about the coaching problems. With the players that you have, they have to be doing better than 9th place. For me, unacceptable. A bad season, maybe you could finish in 5th or 6th, but not 9th.
But it's also damaging, too. We look at this season, let's forget about it and worry about the next season. Next season, it's going to be hard to attract good players if you're not in Champions League at the end of the day. That's a big say.
You might have to let a lot of people go because of the fact that we're not going to be in the Champions.
That's extra revenue.
It could be actually, you know what?
It's a huge
Mike,
standing
it
point.
could be like a well-needed sun that is going to just heal all the wounds. I'll tell you what. We have the highest paid guys and the top of the top players that we call them top. They're failing AC Milan right now.
Yeah.
Don't make me make the name. You know who you are, who they are. So I think, I don't know if it's a cycle. We can't even call this a cycle. A cycle is when you spend at least 7-8 years on AC Milan. Those guys have been there 2-3 years. They won the Campionato, and they won this Super Cup recently. But they're not the AC Milan DNA, as I see it. So, number one, I mean, I can cut a slack to other people, but Magnan has been, for me, the biggest disappointment. One of the biggest disappointment has been the goalkeeper that we have. One of the biggest one. I mean, this is the French national team goalkeeper. Is supposed to be, the leader of the team. The defense is all over the place.
It doesn't give confidence on it either.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying with the
if
defense,
you want to
with
hold
that
the
kind of
defense,
either.
it's you are the captain on the back. You're supposed to be holding those guys up. The goalkeeper is supposed to be
And
constantly
he
talking
screw
to
up
them.
on the penalty too. 30
Yeah.
seconds to go on the
Yeah.
game. The ball is going outside.
Also,
Who
I mean,
did?
he's had loads of
Well, he
individual.
did the penalty.
Magnan
did the penalty.
Mayan's had a million individual mistakes, but also at the same time, and now we got to give Lazio their flowers. Milan could not deal with the speed of Lazio. I mean, it was so obvious. Milan played this high line, they played this risky football. Once Lazio got there, there was no way that Milan were going to be able to handle them. I love the way that Lazio play. And again, I said I doubted them. I didn't think that they would be able to win this game. They have such a great style. They're very vertical. They're very direct. They're intense in the way that they play. And Marco Baroni is dealing with a lot of problems at this team too. Nobody expected them to be at this point. That's number one. That's what we all know. But it's the way that he's dealing with the multiple competitions. They just played Inter in the Coppa Italia. Again, he's playing with a guy that never played center forward. Ciauna is he's not a center forward. He's finding solution. He found a way to still beat Milan in the San Siro. To me, that gives me a lot of confidence. Then also, he gets the guys that come off the bench. They got the second most goals in all of Europe for goals from the bench. That shows, and Lazio does not have the deepest bench. Let's just say it like that. They're really good at the way that they play certain players. Guendouzi's playing every single match. He started every single Serie A match. So I know that the surprise of the season will go to Napoli, rightfully so, because they might go on to win the league. But right there in the same sentence, you got to say Marco Baroni and you got to say Lazio.
Yes,
season
I
also.
guess. Very, very impressed. Very impressed.
I thought it was going to be a transition year for them.
Also, don't forget, there was a fiasco. Tudor left. They had their coach, and we were all. I was excited to
We're
see
all happy
Lazio
for
go
them.
after Tudor last season. Like, oh, these guys now they took away a coach from the other top teams because Tudor also was linked to Juventus at the time. So we were like, okay, everything is gonna go well. And then all of a sudden, this summer there was a fight, argument, the players, and they had to go after Baroni. Baroni, I think, what he was able to do with Lecce, what he was able to do with Hellas Verona. Those are no easy feats. So, I'm happy to see that he gets the credit now, with Lazio. He's already been linked to other teams within Serie A. And I hope he stays, to tell you the truth, because I think, watching Lazio has been a lot of fun this year. They topped the Europa League, so it's not just doing it domestically.
They're Opta favorites to win the Europa League.
I mean, it would be beautiful. It would be really nice, especially, we need it for the coefficient, ranking for Italy. And, he did it without demanding players. He did it with, okay, let me see what I have. It's like, you're at home and you got to go in the cupboard and you got to make a 5-star dish. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay?
With no ingredients.
With no ingredients. So, no, I'm really, really happy about it. And, we'll see how Lazio can continue. And then obviously, they're pushing for the Champions League spot. So it'll be an interesting battle between them and Juventus. Ultimately, Juventus have just the Campionato to worry about, so it makes it a little bit easier on the schedule. But Lazio, I think, is going to make a run for it.
They say inside the locker room too, he just gives like a calming presence to the team. He's a good man manager. I listened to what Mario Gila said, who I think Gila's been growing a lot, by the way, in defense. He's impressed me in the big games. He said he reminds him of Ancelotti because Gila came from Real Madrid. He said he just knows what to tell us. He knows the buttons to push, and that's an underrated quality, especially in a team like Lazio that was going through this seemingly transition year. And they're still a team that, for me, have to grow. They're work in progress. They're a young team with, when they lose their players, you could see even in defense, but always with the right attitude. And they're a pleasure to watch. They're one of the joys to watch. And that's what we always sit here, and I just want to watch teams. I like different styles of football. I like when Como, the press, the young team. I like when Conte sits back and he wants to hit out you. All different styles. But what do you need? You need the intensity. You need the right application. You need to have courage. That last couple minutes in the game, I don't know, did you watch the game? The last few minutes in this match were so exciting. They both went for it. You could see what was at stake for them. Yes, there were individual mistakes defensively, but I like that Serie A also has this aspect to it this year. There are defensive games. There are going to be games where it's calculated. You think about Napoli and Juventus, the first game, the 0-0. But then there are also games where they want to go for it. They'll let loose a little bit. And I like that this year in Serie A, we have the balance of both. It's not just one way. You could find multiple different things happen. Shall we go to Napoli and Inter?
What is the differential between the first place of last year up to now to what, let's say, Napoli, Inter is in first place?
Points-wise, you're saying.
We
Point-wise.
need the laptop for that
We have
one.
a lot less point, right?
Yeah.
So
I
that
know
means
how it
that-
ended finally.
yeah.
Inter finished with 41 points above Napoli last year at the end of the Campionato.
41.
41 points.
Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
because
Yeah.
Napoli were like mid-table.
They were
like
10th
how
place.
Milan are this season.
Yeah, they were in 10th place.
They have
Napoli
41 points.
was in 10th place.
So they made up 40 points.
They probably right now maybe 12 points less of what they had last year, right? At least.
I'll find out. But
Inter, yeah, because they lost.
If they lost AC Milan,
Juve,
they
Milan.
lost with the Juventus. They tied with Napoli a couple times,
Yeah,
right?
they lose against the top.
They
top
lost
teams.
against Verona the first game. And I'm talking about Napoli. I'm sorry. Inter. They didn't lose. 2 games only they lost?
Yeah, and then they tied.
Inter
versus-
last year had 72 points after 27 games.
And now?
And right now, they are at 58.
Okay, 58. 14 points
14.
less.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's also a much
It's a whole
tougher.
different.
It's a much
it's
tougher
a whole
league.
different season.
So let's talk about the game. Do we want to start from the Inter side or the Napoli side? I'll allow you to choose, Peter.
Want me to choose?
I watched the Inter Napoli game. I did.
I think it's.
for letting us know.
I'll start with Inter,
Okay.
but more so as a disappointment, I guess. What I would say, so obviously the result ultimately, favored both sides. It wasn't really an issue, especially with Atalanta dropping points. Because if Atalanta won, it would have made things a lot more interesting, even though they're still there. So it ultimately will come down to the last days. I think Inter looked tired. Inter looked, they had issues with their fullbacks, which in Inzaghi's system, he needs his fullbacks. He needs to make substitutions. And when you have, a handful of injuries, it's always going to be difficult to manage the game. We look at the total of games that Inter have played compared to Napoli.
15 more games.
So 15 more games is a significant amount to play at this point of the season also. And with games coming up, Inter have to play in Champions League now this Wednesday. They'll have a next game. So they're playing every 2-3 days. They don't have time to rest. They don't have time to manage their players. And I think Inzaghi, in this game, he saw that they were up 1-0. And let's not forget, it's in Napoli. It's a very hard place to win, and it's a Napoli that is strong. Okay, it's a Napoli that when they play at home, they're very scary. And I think Inter went in there saying, okay, let's manage this game. We scored first. Let's sit back and let's try to just try to control Napoli and what they're doing. Ultimately, as we see already, it's a common theme in this season. Inter can last until the 80th minute, and then whether it be because of substitutions of certain players or just because of the total age of the players, there seems to be a lack of concentration, and we let in a lot of goals late in the second half, which ultimately, the points tend to slip away.
Why does he sub out Bastoni?
So what I've read is that, the fact that Bastoni plays almost every game, the way that he manages his time is that he substitutes him more often. But he plays every game. So that's his way of managing minutes. Because Again, I'm not in favor of it,
No.
but I think it's just Inzaghi's
This is a
mentality
stupid
that
thing.
everything is calculated.
So
as
here are
far
the
as
stats.
the time.
Bastoni was subbed off versus Milan in the 82nd minute. Milan scored in the 89th minute. He was subbed off versus Udinese in the 75th minute. Udinese scored in the 83rd minute. He was subbed off versus Torino in the 82nd minute. Torino scored in the 87th minute. He was subbed off versus Juventus in the 62nd minute. Juventus scored in the 74th minute. He was subbed off versus Napoli in the 80th minute. Napoli scored in the 87th minute. Does it mean that is necessarily Bastoni?
No.
Of course not. It could be many different things. But from what I see, he's a pretty important player to this team. Also for the understanding of the moment, I feel like, more than anything. Because Inter have good defenders. But, you know, you see the way that he celebrates a tackle. He gets what Inter means. He gets finishing out a match. And to me, when you're talking about saving 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes in some cases, does that really make a big
Does it change
difference?
it? Yeah, I agree.
You know
And
what?
I think that's why I think
That,
with Inzaghi it's calculated.
You know what's so funny?
Yellow
gonna-
card.
Go ahead.
Let Inzaghi know about the stats because maybe he doesn't know. No, that I think that Inter is playing too many games, and there has to be a way maybe for the top teams to play the Super Cup. You don't need to play 4 games, or to play 2 games, 4 teams. The Coppa Italia, maybe they can give them the top 6 teams that are playing Europe and maybe another round to not to play, or maybe change instead of 20 teams, you have 19 teams, but there's too many games. I mean, a team like that, you cannot play every 2-3 games, and you're playing Champions League, and you don't have, if you get the other players, you could rest for a week and then be ready for the next week, some of the teams. But if you're playing in 2-3, if you have a big bruise, you can't even play the next game.
You know, Feyenoord, the Dutch league, they canceled their game so that Feyenoord could rest versus Inter.
Yeah. Find something, I'm just giving you some ideas, but find something that
Catano, those are all professional. Okay, number one.
Yeah, come on, Anto, when you play every
Number
2-3
one, they're all
days,
professional. Number two.
they're human.
Number
They're
two.
international players.
Number two.
Do they play for the
bench of
national
Inter?
teams?
The bench of Inter is big, so it's not that they have.
Not right now, though.
All right.
Right now, they have
They
no
have
wing
no
backs. He has
subs.
to go to
They have
4-4-2.
no subs.
Just to pick up on what Marco said before, everybody during the cocktail party, they were saying to me, Inzaghi è una testa expletive. I'm not going to say it because otherwise they're going to get upset about it. Inzaghi è una testa di because he's been subbing Bastoni. And, apparently, what is this 7-8 minutes or 10 minutes
Well,
extra
that's what he said.
is going to do? So
We said that.
everybody is in agreement with him.
I asked Nigel.
Everybody's in agreement
who played
with
in
him.
He's the captain of West Ham and Aston Villa. I said, does it make a difference? He said, no. He said, when you're talking about these many minutes, at least for him and his perspective,
no,
it doesn't
no,
doesn't
I agree, I
change.
agree.
Stay on the cold water, on the ice water pool for an extra 2-3 minutes, and you're done.
I think
guess.
for this game
Right
in
or wrong,
particular,
Mike?
like Udinese, you can, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that you can make that sub. In this game where there's that point swing of 4 points,
Yeah, you leave him in.
you leave them in.
Yeah.
You leave them in. You have to understand, hey, we got to grit it out. Bastoni, grit it.
The thing with
grit it out.
Inzaghi, I've noticed he doesn't really make those adjustments. He doesn't say like, okay, for this game it's different. He lives and dies by his techniques, and he doesn't care what the circumstances are. He's gonna do it regardless. And I feel like he's going too much by the books. Like he's going too much by he takes away the human aspect of it. I feel like rather than seeing out the game as a human and be like, okay, maybe we should keep him in. He sees it like, okay, statistically we got to take him out just in case he gets a red card. And I feel like things
No
like that can cost him, because I feel like maybe he's too much of he likes stats more than us.
He's
at
a
that
control
point.
freak. He has to just
I
get
mean,
his
the
number
guy's never
right.
been inside his own box in the coaching but I don't even know why they have that there. Also, by the way, real quick before I forget, Fabregas was not at the Como sideline because of an accumulation of yellow cards for coaches. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Give me a coach is now suspended for yellow card
That's right.
accumulations.
That's right.
That's right.
No, I'm saying that's what happened.
That's
It's
a
part of the
terrible
rules.
rule.
It's another stupid rules.
That is the silliest rules. Okay, we went on Inter, and last thing I have on Inter is that now they did not win any of their direct battles. They didn't beat Milan throughout this entire season. Actually, they lost one and tied one. So they only got 2 points out of a possible 6 against Juventus. They only got 2 points out of a possible 6, and now they tied.
You got 2 points.
You tied and lost against Juventus, right?
1 point, no?
They got 4. Juventus got 3, 4 out of 6. So you got 2.
No, you didn't.
How do we get 2?
You got 1
Oh,
point.
sorry.
You say that one.
My fault. Been a long day. My fault. You got 1 point. You got 1 point.
I would take the 2.
Sorry, Juventus got 4 out of 6.
Of course we did it too.
Those are the stats, guys. The stats.
How's it possible? They got
Those are
4. We
those
got
are-
2.
my fault.
6 minus 4 is 2.
those are the
How is that
stats.
possible? Give me
What
the
kind of
one.
a stat is that, Paisa?
Stal gave me the stat. Stal gave it to me.
You know, stop.
Yo, he knows, yeah. Federico, he knows stat.
Then he goes behind the camera again.
Federico.
Okay,
Nice guy.
so
You know him.
so you only got 1 point in those 2 games, and then you got 2 against Napoli.
Yes.
Does that math check out?
That checks.
For me, that's a problem. For me, that's absolutely a problem, and that's the reason why coming into this season, I thought maybe Napoli could do something. It's just because you look at Inter and you say, and maybe it is because playing so many games, maybe it's this lack of concentration, maybe it's this feeling that in Champions League we want to go really far, but there is without a doubt this lack of hunger in some of these games to be able to kill them off, because they absolutely have the quality to be able to do it. You just don't always show it.
Listen, when we went to the Champions League final, we gave up on the Serie A. That run, we made Champions
With
League,
12
but
losses, if I'm
yeah,
not wrong.
it was a terrible season when you look at the Campionato. So that part, that's what led us to the final. Now at this point where we're on all 3 fronts, the only thing that's saving us is the fact that Milan and Juventus have been so poor. Because otherwise, scontri diretti, Milan, Juventus, they're not. Juventus now 6 points. They're there. We'll see what happens. But
Also, Napoli.
these guys, yeah, but Napoli, you tied twice,
But
so
you're
it's
much
a little bit
better
different.
you are better than Napoli on paper.
Okay, but there is the human element that we keep on talking about, which is you play 15 games less. Your body you have a week to prepare, and your body's not as beat up. It takes
All right,
a lot.
so let's take the Napoli angle.
And I would just say before the Napoli angle, Çalhanoğlu
My God.
has been a disaster, always injured,
gosh.
coming in. So that's a major player for us. Acerbi has been out for a large part of the season.
Thuram doesn't look fit.
Thuram is not fit, and he wasn't ready to play that game, and we're forced to play that game because Taremi, Arnautovic, Correa. We saw Correa, walking in the pitch. Forget
And
it.
now
He's not
DiMarco's
into
out
play.
3
DiMarco's
weeks.
out.
What about Mkhitaryan?
Zelinski. So we also haven't been able to field the full starting 11 that you want. So hopefully, after these next couple of weeks, we can get a bunch of these guys back and guys ready for that last.
You need to get through Feyenoord.
Yeah.
I know DiMarco won't be there for 2 games. You're going to be without a lot of your wingbacks. You might switch to a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
It's not ideal. You have to get through Feyenoord, and then even if you drop points in the Serie A, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world
For you.
And then you'll be able to focus and get everybody back in the business end of this season for the Champions League. Every Inter fan I speak to, I say, would you shake my hand if I say Napoli wins the Scudetto and you win the Champions League? I haven't met one Inter fan that said I wouldn't sign for that. And I think Bastoni himself said I would take playing in the final of the Champions League than just guaranteed to win the 21st Scudetto. So I think that says a lot about the team, and I hope that that's where they're going to go. Let's talk about Napoli. For me, besides the point, and my dad and I called each other even after the game because we both had the same feeling when watching the match. Besides the point, it's not even the point that they got. It's the way that they played that shows me that they're back. After a disaster month of February where they didn't win a game, they tied Roma, they tied Udinese, they tied Lazio, they lost to Como, where every journalist and every newspaper in Napoli was saying, look, it's over, that's it. We got Anguissa out now. There's no Neres, there's no this, there's no that. They played 90 minutes, some of the best 90 minutes I've seen Napoli play. He made a big decision putting Gilmore in. It paid off. Then he put Billing in, and he scores the goal. It felt like it was never going to come. But besides the point, because I don't care about the point at the top, it's the momentum that Napoli will take where they just outplayed Inter that I think can lead them to the Scudetto.
Yeah, I think this was a big match. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this was the game that Napoli were going to be shown that, okay, Inter's not messing around. This is the team. They lost some firepower, and now Inter's going to show them that they're the reigning champions. To be honest with you, if there was 10 more minutes into this game, I think Napoli would have won. They had so much momentum going forward, and Inter were pinned back so much. It just felt like it was coming until the referee blew the whistle. They played a phenomenal, and it really reminded me how valuable it is to have Conte like that as your coach, to have someone like that on your side, because they were breathing fire, and Inter were in big trouble towards the end.
You had a lot of
So last week we talked about, and I said I think that Napoli would be better if they played the 4-3-3. And you said, well, Raspadori. And I said I would find a way to put Raspadori in. This week against Inter, he did the 4-3-3, and it got Raspadori.
Was it a 4-3-3?
Yeah, it was a 4-3-3 with Raspadori.
It seemed like a 3-5-2.
No. It was a 4-3-3. And Raspadori, he put Politano on one side and Raspadori on the other side. And then Raspadori had the freedom, if they wanted to cut in, you could cut in. I, before the game, said probably Conte is going to get a tie in this game, but they're going to be outplayed by Inter. Inter is going to outplay them. When he went in from the beginning and from the first half, they took over. I mean, they wanted to they were controlling the game. They wanted to win. They took more than 20 shots on goal. I mean, they were shooting from everywhere. And with a little bit of luck, they would have won this game. And then in the second half, he puts this guy, Philip.
Philip.
Yeah, Philip. I said,
Like a scientist or
I
something.
said, what the hell? I don't know, 6'6" or something. I said, what the hell is this guy? I said, why does he put this guy in? Doesn't ever. And the guy comes in and he scores the goal. It's unbelievable. I mean, Conte, how does he? You got so many players that you could play, and this guy, I never heard of him. Is he played before? I mean, I don't know if he has played.
Has he played before? The first time he put on cleats.
No. He's a midfielder that likes to get into the box.
Yeah.
So he makes those darting runs in.
And he goes in and he scores you the goal to tie him in the whole. I was at Ribalta, man. The whole place went crazy.
Down, right?
Oh my God, they were singing.
Are they believing now?
They were singing and dancing and jumping and down. It was.
What's the pulse? What's the pulse of them? Did you watch scared eyes walk into the restaurant and then hopeful eyes leave?
Well, no. I don't think they were scared. I mean, the Neapolitans, they're not scared. They're not scared of anything. But I personally didn't think that they had a chance to beat Inter in this game. And after the game was over, I thought, yes, they could have beaten Inter. But Inter is a team that, like he said, it looked tired. I think they're playing too many games, and it showed in that game.
Do you think this is what Napoli needs to get over the hurdle and to
I don't
win
think.
the Scudetto?
I still believe that Napoli doesn't have it. So I don't know. It's something. They don't have it.
What is it? Is it the injuries that they have?
No, it's the structure of the team that is telling me that regardless of then I've really been tasked to play this many games as much as Inter or Juventus or in the last few weeks. The things that I think I still believe that Atalanta's got a shot, because if Atalanta picks up right now, Atalanta has been very depressing watching
away
them.
against Venezia.
All right.
I know, throwing
Okay,
2
so let
points
me.
away.
You're saying
away.
Atalanta.
I was hoping for Atalanta to win. That's what was
You
my
got to beat
push.
Venezia. I know Venezia, they made Lazio even 0-0, but in this game,
but-
this is must win.
All right, so the next 5 games for Atalanta. The next 5 games.
Very
Juve, Atalanta. Atalanta, Inter. Fiorentina, Atalanta. Atalanta, Lazio. Atalanta, Bologna. Those are the next 5 games.
That's why you needed to beat Venezia.
Yeah,
Of
good
course.
luck.
No, but come on. You cannot say Atalanta is supposed to win the Scudetto and Napoli doesn't have it. After this performance, you got to show some respect to Napoli. I'm sorry.
No, I
And
mean,
to Conte.
I just hope.
Forget
I
about
hope that
hoping.
Napoli
Forget about
wins.
hoping.
I hope.
doesn't-
The way that they play versus Inter, I mean, that was a dominating performance. And I think for, like you said, okay, maybe you don't go with the win, but I think, the team's mentality at that point is like, hey, we just gave a lesson to Inter. They look tired. They're going to be tired for these next games. We have to win every game, and we're going to, we could win the Scudetto. It'll be in our hands.
I'll put it this way.
Wait,
I think just to give context to how I saw it, I think Napoli getting a tie and playing that way is actually more valuable than to get dominated for 90 minutes and then scrape away with a 1-0.
Listen
and
to
get
me.
the extra 2 points.
Listen to me.
Because of what it will mean to them, and I listened to every word Conte said in the press conference, he had one line that I loved. One line.
He was exhausted when he said it.
Se vogliamo, possiamo. And it's the first time that I've heard Conte, because he's backed away from the Scudetto. And what was his context before? Se vogliamo, possiamo. That means if we want it, we can do it. And his context before that was, after watching this game, if we are smart, if we realize what we just did, it's in our hands. Even if points-wise it's not. He said it's in our hands. And to me, when Conte starts believing like that, his record, do you know what his record is? Win record in March? 76% of games he's won in the Serie A in March. Do you know what it goes up to in April? 90%. He's won 90% of games in April.
Let's hope that you're
He's usually out
right.
of the
Wait,
Champions
let's hope
League
that
by
is right. But to get back to what you just said before, you listed all the teams that Atalanta is going to be playing. Let me tell you something, Paisa.
Tell me.
Atalanta comes up big when they play the big teams. With the teams like this, like Venezia, that's why they struggle.
How did they do against Inter?
Come on.
Atalanta.
How did they do against Inter?
All right. From time to time, they you have
He
to
did
check.
demolish 7-6.
Atalanta with the Gasperini, despite the poor exit that they had from the Champions League and the fight with with his best players, and now Lukman is rumored to leave and all that nonsense that went on between the two of them.
All right,
I
hold
think
on.
Atalanta can still do it.
Anto,
Atalanta can still do
in the
it.
direct matchups, they lost to Napoli, they tied Juventus, they lost to Inter, they tied Lazio.
Again, those are all stats, and this
They
is what's
beat
on the
Milan.
You
past.
said about
They
the
beat
Those
Milan.
Those are all on the
He's
past.
referring
Milan,
to the fact that
doesn't
where's
matter.
the big team? You say they
But
stepped
now-
up.
Napoli
They
once.
lost all these games.
On the stretch, this is the big stretch.
Yeah,
Now
the
I think
stretch.
Atalanta, hey,
They lost to Inter
To
twice.
me,
I mean,
I hope either in Napoli, Atalanta, they can do the job
don't
because
see it.
Yeah, we get,
Anto,
we get
you
what
don't
you're
see
trying
it.
to
I
say.
don't
Anto,
know.
what-
I think I don't know. I don't know.
Anto, what do you have in your hand?
I have
He's
a piece
holding
of
his
chewing
gum.
gum that
You know, last night at the Oscar,
Oh,
the guy was going up to say the speech and get the statuetta over there, and he had a piece of gum.
Yeah.
He threw it, he threw it to his wife.
is her
If you
hair?
want to throw it to the producer,
Her
the
hair?
producer is not there.
Where did it land? On her hair?
no, she grabbed it.
She
He was
grabbed
the
it.
best actor that he was going up and he had the chewing gum. He turned around and gave it to his wife. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I didn't.
What's his
Anto,
name?
Anto just sticks it underneath the
Yeah.
studio
Back.
chair. That's what he
His
does.
body days. School days and body.
Mike, and then Mike says, "Who put this shit over here?"
I just stepped in gum.
Dad, do you believe now? Again? Do you believe again in Napoli?
I believe in Napoli, but Inter, if Inter has all the players, I think Inter is still a little bit more.
If Inter
But if Inter is going to struggle now with the Champions League, they don't have all the players and injuries, yes,
if
Napoli is
Inter,
going to
if
do
Inter
it.
beat Feyenoord and they go into
Yes.
the next round, I think Napoli could do
I'm
it.
definitely more hopeful than last podcast because I think they gave more to believe in their performance-wise. And also, you see Inter, they have a weakness. You could see they have an Achilles heel too. You saw them, wow, they do have that weak spot that they can be exploited.
Yeah.
And with plus the injuries, it makes you think, okay, maybe Napoli aren't out of it as maybe a lot of people, including myself, thought about it at
All right,
first.
so I got a question for you.
I don't understand.
I got a question for you.
Before you ask me the question,
I have a great question for you.
All right, go ahead. Shoot. Speed it out.
You
Let it
think
go.
Atalanta is still in it?
Yes.
Mike says Inter's not as perfect. He still believes in a Scudetto race. Is Juventus still in the Scudetto race? Because they are 6 points behind Inter.
No. Juventus is a bunch of losers. Let me just say something.
Juventus has a better chance than
bunch of
Atalanta.
losers.
How about Milan?
I will agree with that.
Let me say
I will
something.
agree with that.
Let me say something
What do you guys
to you.
think?
You
Who
live
has a
in-
better chance,
Look at
Atalanta
you
or
Wait,
Juventus?
answer-
This guy was the one
answer the
crying the
question.
other day on the sidewalk. Listen to me.
Who has a better chance, Juventus or Atalanta?
To me, Atalanta still.
Who has a better chance, Juventus or Atalanta?
I just
Let
gave
me go
you
last.
five.
I was
five
about to say, probably based on that schedule,
Listen.
Juventus has a better chance.
Listen, Marco.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm going to go Atalanta.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Marco, listen, you did tie before Inter dropping if they win against Feyenoord. So you are trying to say to me that they already put themselves in the position to gamble whether we're going to go all the way for the Campionato or all the way to Coppa Campioni?
No, I'm just saying if
So-
it's an unexpected exit. I think that they will go far, but I'm saying if
So
they
if
did
they
go
go
out,
far, what you think? That Napoli's 100% they're going to take it?
Good
not
from far?
100%, but I would put my
know.
money on
I
Napoli.
don't know. I hope you're right.
That's what I think.
I just hope you're
so
right.
let's talk about Juventus because it's definitely not been a good enough season. We saw the Juventus fans protesting. For me, very exaggerated, by the way. You could complain about the management, but then they call Thiago Motta pezzo di merda. I don't know.
Who
To
did
me,
that?
The Curva Sud.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they don't represent all of Juventus fans. I get their percent. They're upset. For me, very exaggerated. It's not been a good season. Coppa Italia and Champions League really hurts them. But then you look at where they are in the league. For me, the 4th place is the minimum, absolute minimum. You have to be in Champions League football. But now there's 6 points, and you just said they play Atalanta next week. If they beat Atalanta, and you go now, all of a sudden you're already 3 points away from Atalanta. And now you're tied with Atalanta. All of a sudden, the narrative around Thiago Motta, with the injuries, with the schedule, starting to grow at the end of the season, all changes.
You want to start?
God.
Let Peter go. Let Peter go. He let you lead.
Go ahead.
Before.
I got to go.
All right.
You guys are such gentlemen. This is
Them two
unbelievable.
scream at each other. Antonio
No
will go.
me, no me.
Antonio.
So with all this terrible season that Juventus is having, they still got the best defense in the Campionato.
With Gatti leading.
Okay, so usually when the top team always has the best defense. Usually, if you look at the last,
What did Napoli have one more goal conceded? They were tied.
They got 21 conceded. I don't know, on Napoli 23 maybe.
Yes. Napoli have 22. Juventus have 21.
21.
Yeah.
So
one.
So even with this disaster of a season, they're doing pretty good. And like I said, usually it shows that the team is always on the top.
By the way, Antonio just put his gum on the mic.
Oh, I thought
Look at this guy.
I thought I saw him put it back in his mouth.
He's gonna put it back in his mouth.
Can't.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh my God.
That's why we can't have nice things.
So Thiago Motta, he has been putting some players out of position. You know, I'm hoping that, okay, it's a young team. Okay, you need time. I give him all that. I give him the whole year. But he has been putting people out of position. So I'm hoping that he's learning and that by next week against Atalanta, he puts the right formation to beat Atalanta.
Okay.
Really? It's going to be a great game.
Huh?
What's your
It's
reaction?
in Torino? In
What's
Torino,
your reaction
right?
towards?
It's in
I
Torino?
think that game. No, I think that game's just gonna be crazy. I think it's gonna be very good. And that's gonna say a lot for the standings of Serie A for that top 4 race. So there's gonna be a lot to say for that one.
If he wins that game, does the entire narrative change about the season?
Well,
For who?
for
For
Juve,
Juventus
Juventus?
and Thiago Motta, can you start to justify? I think the Champions League really hurts him.
I don't think it's justifiable. It's just like, okay, that part's done. Let's finish the season best as we can. It's not like, oh, he makes up for it if he makes up for it. It's more like, okay, it's growing pains, whatever. He didn't have a great season, but let's try to at least make top 4. I don't think it goes away. It's inexcusable to go out of
Gasperini or Motta?
for Motta.
Or Motta.
I think it's inexcusable to go out in the Champions League like the manner he did.
And the Coppa Italia
and the
against
Coppa-
Empoli.
so now just salvaging what's left of the
I
season.
don't mind. I don't care about the Coppa Italia really. For me, he wins the trophy. It's the way that he went out.
Yeah.
The way that he went out to Empoli, and Empoli that was playing a bunch of young kids, not even their best players. I think that hurts more. And the Champions League game, the Champions League game, the way that they did it, those are the ones that make you suffer. But I do think, at least for Juventus to have the management to believe in, he's got to get the project to the next stage. If he finishes in the top 4, and especially if he gets really close, he beats Atalanta, they won't have the doubts and they'll continue with him. And they'll say, oh, we didn't have Bremer, we didn't have this guy, we didn't have that guy, and you found the solution. But I think my dad brings up a great point that some of his man management, the way that he's given certain players like freedom, no matter what they do. Oh, you're always going to be there. And today we finally saw Cup Miners sits on the bench. And then look, he comes in and he scores a goal like he looked like at Atalanta. That bothers me. That for me becomes hard to justify. And I feel like he created, well, he didn't do it publicly. and Conceicao has done it publicly at times. And I like that he doesn't do it publicly. The way that he ousted certain players and the way that he's handled different personalities, I haven't appreciated.
Let me ask you something. Since you were that paper with the list of teams over there, who's Juventus going to be playing the last few games? Because
The next game?
yeah, no,
Atalanta.
the next 5 or 6 games. What does
They
he
got-
have?
They got Fiorentina coming up.
Atalanta, Fiorentina, Genoa, Roma, Lecce, Parma, Monza, Bologna, Lazio, Udinese, Venezia.
That's not bad. Not bad.
How about
schedule.
Roma, guys? Roma in 2025, no
Not
team
bad.
has earned more points than them. They got 23 points in 2025. They're completely different under Claudio Ranieri. They suffered against Como in the first half. It was not easy. Again, he's another one that the goals from the bench. He made 3 subs. Salamakers, Rensch, and Dovbik. They each got a goal and an assist.
Contribution.
A goal
Yeah. And
contribution.
11 games unbeaten in Serie A for Ranieri. He really incredible. He's
Luck,
been
too.
incredible.
Come on.
I mean,
Luck.
Come on, Anto.
How's it luck?
Doesn't want to give any.
I thought I was about to walk out the
Only
podcast.
Milan is
What
unlucky.
the
Only
hell?
Milan has a problem. Only
This
Milan.
guy,
Handballs,
This guy,
all that
Salamakers.
stuff.
Come on. Are you kidding me?
Handballs,
You sound like a Lazio.
Are you?
I
Is this
don't
guy
know.
serious?
No, I
I've
am
never
not
heard
se-
anyone
I'm
not like
I'm
Ranieri.
serious. I'm serious.
serious?
I am serious.
This guy,
Not-
Salamakers, that you gave
Yeah,
up on
yeah,
him.
yeah.
The kid, he works so hard. The kid is all heart. And when he comes in, left or right, he puts the ball in the middle, he scores.
How many times you said that
It-
Salamaker sucks when he was on AC Milan? Hundreds of times. Now all
Everyone
of a
sucks
sudden,
at Milan.
Salamaker.
we were together in the preseason, okay, that we went to see live against Manchester City. And I said, I liked Salamakers, what he was doing.
He
That's
played
the
great.
bricklayer you need.
That's it. You gave up.
Mike, those guys cannot be trusted.
I mean,
Those 2 guys
Listen,
can't be
you're
trusted.
complaining that Ranieri hasn't
Listen.
been able to do anything with Roma. Are you kidding me?
you wish you
Luck
had
or not luck,
Ranieri.
if he had 11 games unbeaten or whatever, it doesn't make a difference.
Listen.
Do you see where they are in the
Guardate,
table?
ragazzi,
How they started?
Ragazzi, ve lo dico prima in italiano e poi ve lo dico in inglese. All right? In Italian, it's been said like this. È un campionato, è una guerra tra poveri. Okay? Let me just say something.
Don't
you get that,
translate
Mike?
that.
Everybody, Mike, you know, you
Yeah, don't
understood
translate that.
It's a war
Everybody's
amongst the poor
scrambling.
people.
Everybody's
And
scrambling.
you guys are the poorest.
Yeah, ba, 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 ba. And, you know, these guys, they have 20 points less than last season. And, you know, Napoli's breathing on their neck. And then you went, oh, we still have a chance here and there. You guys probably have how many points less than? It's
This is
just-
jealousy. This is
Yeah,
jealousy
it's
right
pure
here.
jealousy.
You guys
If
are-
you're mad at Roma
You're
and Ranieri
a bunch
doing
of
this well,
miserable people that you haven't won anything.
only one miserable-
You
Milan.
are the one
Yeah,
with the
he is
breadcrumbs.
so
You
miserable.
always collect
I forgot
breadcrumbs,
about that.
right?
Yeah, you don't use that slogan anymore.
I forgot
He hasn't
about
said
that
it
one.
Where's
this
all the
year.
breadcrumbs?
I'm
Last
just
year.
going to say this
All
to you
breadcrumbs.
guys. Enjoy while we
Yeah.
last because next year is going to
Until
be...
2 weeks
AC
ago, you
Milan all the way,
until
right?
2 weeks ago, I was saying Milan was going to win the championship.
Oh.
And they got Champions
Bunch
League.
of miserable... Make me say
hey,
that.
Ranieri's a gentleman. Maybe he'll give Conceicao some tips on what you're supposed to do as a coach when you come
What do you
into
mean
a
tips?
team.
After the coffee, after the...
All I know-
Ranieri
All I
to
know
me-
is he's pulling the right strings and he's getting results. You know why? It's experience.
He's the equalizer. You ever see that movie?
I come he went... The Equalizer?
That's
I don't
Ranieri.
watch movies. I'm
You
sorry.
don't watch movies?
He lives in reality, this guy.
That's right. I don't watch... I don't watch...
There's no reality with anything that he's saying right now.
Well,
No.
I tell you one thing about Ranieri,
Mm.
okay? He left Dobic. He left them out for a couple
Yeah.
of weeks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he put Shora Maduro.
Shomurodov. Hey,
Shora-
give respect to
Shura-
Uzbek.
Shomurodov, whatever his name is.
Shabadabadoo. What the
Nah,
what the Scooby-Doo say? Shabadabadoo.
Shabadabadoo.
Scooby-Doo, whatever.
And-
that was Sicilian.
And then this guy, I mean, he's not at
Sicilian's
that,
worse.
he's not at that level, but he did what he had to do. But when he substituted, he put Dobic, and the guy goes in
On
and
his
he
first
scores.
touch.
Yeah.
And he goes. And,
Sometimes you
and,
need that.
Don't you
Yeah.
need the luck?
But that's
Lady
not
luck.
luck. That's Ranieri.
It's not
The
luck.
luck. What is it?
It's
Luck.
not luck.
Yeah.
It's pattern
coaching.
recognition.
L-U-C-K? What's that?
coaching.
It's pattern recognition.
You're still playing tail, please.
They have a very important game on Thursday. Very important game against Athletic Bilbao. For me, one of the favorites to win the competition, the Europa League, is Athletic Club. They're a very good team, very organized. I love the style of the Spanish teams usually. It's very important not only for Roma, because I want to believe in a dream. I want to believe that maybe they could go on and win the Europa League. It would be a fairy tale to watch him come out of retirement and to lift the trophy even for Dybala. But it's important because of the coefficient points. If Roma could somehow knock Athletic out, all of a sudden it goes back and swings more towards our favor, and it becomes possible as long as we don't have some major slip-ups, and maybe a couple things can fall our way. If Roma don't do it, it's over. The 5th spot.
Can you imagine
impossible.
Roma Lazio as a final?
That'd be crazy.
I don't think the police want
That'd be
that.
scary.
Listen.
Yeah, it would be. I don't
Well,
think they'd ever get to the match.
The
where would they
Champions
be
League
played?
with the
It's
Feyenoord
under-
is 1 game or 2 games.
Yeah,
like
I know.
The Champions League finals
away,
in,
home and
in
away.
Munich.
Oh, in
The
Munich. Is
Feyenoord
it
game
London?
that you guys have is home and away or just this one game?
Home and away.
Or home and away?
That would be something, Roma
It's away and
Lazio.
home.
I would go to that game.
Your first game, you play
If
away
you
the first
went
one?
to Roma Lazio, my gosh, that's one of the best. It's in Spain. It's in Bilbao. Shoot, so Athletic
my
Club
God.
The
got the freaking motivation
That's
of
their,
playing this
that's their
game at
team.
home.
That's their
The first
city.
game is in Bilbao?
sure.
No, the
Athletic.
final is in Bilbao.
Oh, the final is Bilbao.
That's Atletic's team.
Ay, ay, ay.
Wow.
Yeah, that's.
And I
it's
saw
gonna
the
be
game
tough.
they played against Atletico Madrid over the weekend. They lost 1-0, but they were unlucky to not equalize
Yeah.
or even win. They played.
I don't know
very
anything
good.
about Bilbao.
They're a very
No.
organized team.
They're really
Very
good. Yeah, the Inaki Williams.
Valverde's the coach.
Williams
Well,
brothers.
one team
Valverde, yeah.
from Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, one of them is going to go out.
That's good. And you know what we need? We actually have to support our good friend Ryan and hope that Manchester United knocks out Real Sociedad.
For La Liga.
What are the chances?
The way Man United is playing, they got knocked out of the FA Cup against Fulham.
Really?
Hold on.
penalties.
You
Also,
didn't even know.
how do you have the courage to? Actually, it was Ryan that sent the first message, right?
That's
Was it not
right.
you?
No,
Okay,
it
okay.
wasn't.
I made a mistake.
I was not following anything.
Ryan sent a message, Man United fan, making fun of Milan. Meanwhile, his team
FA
lost
Cup.
the FA Cup. It's the poor
What do you say?
feeding the poor.
Misery love company? What do you guys say? What do you say?
The
on
fight-
I didn't say
the war-
anything.
You
I
say
don't
it.
remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, you say it.
I was
Misery
on a
loves
twilight
company.
zone. He gave me
You
an
and
alert. I
Ryan.
say, by the way, your friend is speaking of you. Breaking news. Man U lost against Fulham, I guess. How much did they lose?
In penalties. Xerxes missed the penalty.
Oh,
Ooh, that hurts.
Yep. Not even surprised. Anything else, boys? Are we good?
Let's hope for the best for the Italian
pray.
team at this point because
There's nothing more to.
except for Inter,
For
but
Milan.
let's hope
We
for
need
the
it.
best.
You need to support Inter.
We need to support. You guys need to support Inter.
Hey, listen.
Oh, I'm gonna support you guys. I'm gonna be the biggest
do
supporter.
you love Pirlo?
Of course, I love Pirlo.
Pirlo just said, we were just at the Serie A event.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we all got to support Inter and hope that they go on and
Well,
win.
he played for
And
Inter
win
too.
what against Feyenoord?
And
Pirlo's
win,
an
yes.
Inter fan,
We said we
so-
want the 5th spot. We want the 5th spot.
He's
but not the
Interista, of
Champions
course he's
League,
gonna
right?
say that.
It's not Interista.
Just like
Well, he
Cassano's
started
not
with
Interista, right?
Brescia, I think, and then he went to Inter. His first team was Inter.
Yeah, but then Inter gave up on him because they're so
Then he
stupid.
went, I think, to
So he
Regina,
came
and
to
then he
AC
went
Milan.
back to Inter.
No, he did not.
Two
He came to
times
AC
he went back
Milan.
to
He
Inter.
came to AC
He
Milan.
seems like he's close to Juventus now.
No, it's close to
And
AC
then you
I
Milan.
feel like he's always doing
And then
stuff
you guys
with
gave up to
Juventus.
him, and then he went to Juventus.
Yeah, I know, because, stupid people over there, they let him go. So I will have kept him.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao, ragazzi.
Ciao, guys.